Nah.
Is Harry frozen? Oh, never mind.
No, he's messing with his audio. He kind of sounds like a evil villain right now.
That could be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Harry.
We'll do it live. Yeah, who knows? Is he cranky?
I don't know. He didn't say much.
Jesus.
Guess he's cranky.
I'm not cranky. So, two questions. Jordan, how was the UFC fight? Because I know that you have abandoned college football, and in order to cover the beer industry, that you are now a UFC subscriber.
Oh my God.
I missed it.
What? You missed it?
Yeah, I missed it. I missed it.
Huh.
Can't give up college football that easy.
So I know that you're an Ole Miss fan. They played the Aggies. What happened in that game? It was close when I saw it.
It was very tight. They won. They pulled it off, but Aggies kicked a field goal at the very last second, and it got blocked, and they missed it, and that was game. So now Ole Miss gets to play the number one team this weekend, Georgia, for a chance to maybe possibly go to the playoff. So
Huh.
it's a
So
long shot.
so what you're telling me is that old Reb is happy. Old Reb is sitting there with his whiskey, and
Colonel Reb has
Colonel Reb's like, "Oh, I say."
God, Harry, you can't be.
Colonel Reb was asked to leave a long time ago.
Oh,
When I was there,
yeah,
when I was there, they
they got
they were
rid of
trying to
Colonel
pick a
Reb.
new. He
Yeah,
was already gone, but they didn't have a mascot, and so they were trying to pick a new mascot, and it just turned into a big joke with everyone voting for stupid stuff. Like I
of
think
course. You can't let the
the
internet
highest
choose
vote.
anything.
Well, it was the students, and I think the highest vote was Akbar from Star Wars. So
Nice.
So what a Colonel Reb, for our younger listeners who don't remember, was a cross between the Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, Colonel Sanders, and Yosemite Sam. And that was the
that's
mascot.
pretty accurate. Yeah, that's spot on.
Well, I say.
And he
And
talked
Jen,
like Foghorn Leghorn.
Yes, that's what I
thank
was
you.
thinking. Foghorn
Foghorn
Leghorn.
Leghorn. Right. There are a lot of characters based on that trope.
Yeah.
And which is just a ridiculous. I'm glad they retired Colonel Reb.
Are you? Are
Yeah,
you though?
everybody
It
is.
doesn't sound like you are. Harry.
Well, no, Colonel Reb was problematic. I will give you that. And Jen, you were up in D Town, otherwise, and I don't mean Dallas, and I don't mean divorce. I actually do mean Dallas. So, how was Dallas at the NBWA
Next gen
youth conference,
youth conference.
Christian youth conference?
Christian Youth Conference. It was good. We're not supposed to report on it, but I can talk about what I spoke about, and also, yeah, it was well attended. I gave a speech on kind of 2024 predictions and stuff because we did our own little reader survey. I don't know if you noticed that or not, Harry. We did a reader survey.
I've seen it. It looks good.
And so I shared a little bit about that, 25,000 view of what suppliers and wholesalers are talking about and that sort of thing. But to me, the single biggest takeaway from that was that 87% of the respondents, which was more than 60 people, said they think 2024 is going to be like sort of a very pivotal year in the industry, which I think is super telling. I mean, that means if you think that things are coming to a head, if they're kind of changing, you're going to make moves, right? Almost 90% of our respondents, which was more than 60 people, most of that, like a third of them suppliers and the rest wholesalers, think that 2024 is going to be a pivotal year for a whole host of reasons, including, price, losing share to spirits, big soda coming into the business, all of this stuff. And M&A, imminent M&A, especially if inflation rates go down and Bud Light gets to more normal. And so to me, that was the biggest takeaway, because if you think things are coming to a head, right, you're going to make a move. You're going to feel like you have to do something, right? Whether
Right.
it's diversify, buy, sell, whatever. Get into these THC beverages. Who knows? That was also kind of an interesting subtext that people are interested about with what's going on in Minnesota. But yeah, I won't bore you with the 30-minute presentation.
Well,
But
no, I think you should not talk about it because we can recycle those predictions. Since
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't do a prediction issue this year, I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I think y'all had
It was-
assigned that to me and it just never got done. or
we also had the summit in very early January, so
Yes.
right.
we didn't
It's
have a whole lot
probably
of time.
it would have been too easy.
Well, honestly, if there was a predictions to miss, it would have been this year because Bud Light kind of messed
Right.
everything up. So
Yes,
everything kinda
unless we
would've-
had somehow predicted there'd be massive share changes in the top 5 brands.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we'd have known that. But then we'd probably be in trouble right now if we
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
I feel like the government needs to talk to you. But one other thing from Next Gen that I can talk about, Jen Hawk, obviously with Draftline, we had her earlier this year. She put up a slide of the year-to-date's fastest growing draft handles, right? Not share, but handles. Mick Ultra was number 1.
Huh.
So that's pretty interesting to me, right?
Wow.
Brands are built in the on-premise, right? I think Mick Ultra is going to do okay next year. I don't know that it can't make up for all of Bud Light's losses, but I think it'll help. And they had a couple other brands in the top 5, like Kona and I think Mango Cart even. So
I think in dollars, Mick Ultra will make a big dent
mhm.
in Bud Light's losses. And if you're going to take down a Bud Light tap, Mick Ultra would be the natural one to slip in there. But I'm sure, Miller Lite and Coors Light have done well. They claim 10,000 tap handles or something.
Yeah, I think Coors Light was number 2, like the second fastest growing, just on tap handles alone. So
say they've gained 12,000 and they've gained like 2.5 points in on-premise share through September. They've done well in the on-premise, but the ultra stat is really surprising.
Right? Yeah.
I think maybe they consulted with AB before they just handed it over to competition. And said, okay, put
that
put
makes
Mick Ultra
sense.
on there.
Yeah.
You mean at the account level,
right?
So like they go to their AB rep, they're like, we got to take this Bud Light down. What else you got?
Yeah.
Type thing.
That makes sense.
Okay. And why are September scans so bad? Is there a tough comp or something I'm missing?
That's what we talked about offline. But
there is a tough comp with pricing and the October price increase. I guess it kind of set in September, the last 2 weeks of September last year, and then was like in effect come October, right? So that's one part of it. Like September scans were really bad in the back half of September, and then shipments, they say there's a lot of load in ahead of the price increase. But I mean, September 2022 shipments, at least domestic shipments, weren't setting the world on fire. So
yeah,
I think it's a mix of a tough comp and just continued poor performance.
Malaise. Yes.
Yeah.
Weather. Let's just say it's the weather.
It's weather. Yeah. Well, I mean, to the point of poor performance, another thing that I talked about, of course, was price. Like a lot of distributors and retailers were worried about price. We had one retailer say, like, look, my costs on Bud Miller Coors are so high that I sell the 24 packs or, the larger packs of BMC or loss per year. It's just a microcosm, right? Like, it's cheaper to buy a handle of Smirnoff or Tito's than it is sometimes to buy a 12 or 24 pack. Like,
Yeah.
The increase is diminishing starting this month.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still up, but not as much.
I think the best news this week, just from a purely entertainment value perspective, is, as you get older, you just look for entertainment. You don't really look for like the most hard. Is Gavin just coming straight after Michel in the conference call? Basically saying, contrary to what's been said out there, and contrary to this or that, and just saying, we won. Say, you can throw internal surveys all you want that 40% of lapsed Bud Light drinkers are open to return, which is, I mean, why would you even put that out there? That's just a terrible data point. I think everybody would consider returning under the right circumstances. But
we'll pay you to drink Bud Light.
I mean, that's what it's only 40% that would consider. That seems like a bad data point. And then Gavin just goes straight. Well, we look at sales, and these
are the facts.
These are facts, ma'am. And I thought that was funny. I also thought it's funny how he always exchanges jarbs with Robert Ottenstein. It's like he did that last year too. I actually picked up the wrong transcript at first when I was covering it, and I was like, it happened last year too. Good, and Robert, I don't even think he realizes that that he's being sparred with. Like, I love Robert. God bless him. Tough questions, but yeah, for Molson Coors' part, they're claiming stickiness, and it has stuck for sure. It's just going to be a big test come May, and we'll see how all those trends carry out. But the bottom line is that Bud Light, we haven't picked up all that Bud Light's lost. Right. Industry's going to be down at the end of the year. It's not great for beer.
Right.
Yeah. I think we're taking leaky buckets to a big leaky bucket,
Yeah.
We're catching it, but it's still going out the other side eventually. And the the back and forth between Gavin and Michel, I think, was a little mixing of words, because Michel kept saying that overall AB share has started to improve. They're not losing as much share. And then Gavin kept saying that Bud Light share is not improving.
Right.
And
it's gotten worse.
I think both are correct. Yeah.
Right.
So
everybody likes to split.
That was funny.
Split hairs with the data, between, I got to point out that between Valentine's Day and then the first week of March, that Yuengling was the number one beer. Right. So we're the number one beer. I'm just using as an example. I don't think that's true, but yeah, the slicing and dicing of data has been going on since we've been covering this, and I'm sure long before. I hope this continues, because I love these. It feels like 2005 again, like when
beer wars.
The beer wars. Like, God, it was so much fun when they were putting posters. Miller was putting posters of like pissing on Spuds McKenzie, and like I can't even remember. Put full page ads in the New York Times saying that we have half the calories and carbs of Bud Light, and then the back and forth, and then it kind of just bled into kind of just dopey kind of meanness, like the Corngate thing on the Super Bowl, going after. But it's fun when it's at a corporate level, like when we have jousting CEOs on their quarterly earnings calls, jousting at each other. That's what's fun to me. Let's not put it out in the public and start putting billboards up how bad beer is.
If old Rob Sands were still around, I'm sure he'd have some choice words on the earnings call. Yeah,
bring back the old owners, the founder owners that have nothing to lose because they're already billionaires.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's effing go.
LFG.
Jordan, that the new, I have to kind of keep you up with the latest Gen Z lingo. The latest thing you say is, I stand on business. Do you stand on business, Jordan?
I do stand on business. I think I do.
Looks like you're sitting on business right now.
I'm about to, never mind.
Sitting on business sounds a little dirty, but I don't know if I'm familiar with stand on business.
Well, I've been hearing it a lot, just out on the internets, and then I looked it up, and it's in the last couple of months it's become very popular on TikTok, and it comes from a Drake song, of course, one of his off his new album. So I just want everybody to know that I'm here. I'm standing on business.
Every
day. The other thing that's kind of put this in the bucket of maybe nothing, but maybe huge.
Yep.
So we can't just not report it. But the Teamsters Union is, came out with really strong language that they've walked away from the negotiating table with AB, and it represents about 5,000 workers. And, normally we see this about every 5 years when the contract comes up, and then at the last hour, they usually sign a contract and everything's fine. This year is different.
Yep.
We've got the auto workers. The UAW had a very successful strike that resulted in, I think, like 40% pay increases or something.
It's pretty ridiculous. By the way, I'm quitting because I'm going to go work in the auto factory now.
No,
okay?
I'm right behind you, Jenn. You can be my manager on the line. We've got, and then the writers' strike, they successfully got what they wanted, at least for 3 years. And the actors are still on strike, and even they're going on strike in Japan. We've never seen a strike ever in Japan. The unions and workers are feeling their oats, and I think the Teamsters are taking note, and they're going to drive a hard bargain, I would think. And they did this in response to AB announcing $1 billion not a dividend, a share buyback. Same thing, basically same effect. But honestly, $1 billion for them is not a huge buyback. It's almost not even noteworthy, but still, it's good press, right? They're giving $1 billion back to investors, and so they have this 2-tier healthcare system, and they want everybody to be on the good. They want everybody on the Michelob Ultra healthcare system, not the Busch Light or even the Natural Light system.
Yeah.
And so if they go on strike, I've lived through brewery strikes, albeit I was very young, but it's devastating both to market share and to just logistics and everything. And AB's down. This is, if I were the Teamsters, kick them while they're down. So this could be a big thing, but maybe not.
Yeah.
So
can't discount it these days. That's for sure.
Right.
I think the current contract ends in February of next year.
Yep. Right before spring break. Let's go.
Yeah, and right before they get their easy comps too.
Right.
That could be rough.
Yeah. Well, we have a few other things, right? We've got we have Constellation Investor Day. We had big news yesterday come through that they picked a new CEO for New Belgium. Sean Belongi, their CMO, their longtime CMO that's presided over the rise of Voodoo Ranger. So that was big news, and hoping we can get him for our summit.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because we talked with him briefly and asked him about all the things. Smart guy. Not that Steve was a smart guy too, of course, but obviously Sean's a different person. So it'll be interesting to see, how he deals with comps. Speaking of comps, those are ridiculous comps that they have. Ever larger. But, and I asked him that and he was like, well, look at Constellation, right? They keep growing and growing. And speaking of Constellation, they bought that Daleville facility this past March from Constellation. And so I asked him, what about M&A in the future? You guys are a platform, right? That was the point, right, of the Lion deal and all that. And he pointed to Daleville and said, this is obvious. This is a cue that we're looking beyond potentially traditional craft beer. So maybe some moves from them in the next couple of years. One thing I haven't gotten clarity on yet. And Jordan, I know you worked on this story with me when it came out. Remember, they were supposed to co-pack for Constellation there too. And 2 of the brands that they were co-packing are now gone, Funky Buddha and Two Lanes or whatever. But I don't know if they're still co-packing Fresca Mix there, but interesting stuff.
You can't argue that New Belgium has some of the best marketing out there. If you can, their packaging, their messaging, everything. And, but also they're strategically, they've done very well going into C-stores, going into single serve, going into high octane, all the things they've done. Honestly, I think Steve probably got out at the right time because he did what he wanted to do and he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And, it's hard to do it twice and hard to keep it going. And, he might be better served somewhere else. And in fact, we may have him on the podcast. He's expressed interest and I just need to reach out to him again. Kind of an exit interview, if you will.
I was just going to say on the marketing of Voodoo Ranger, I think what they got right was they've kind of given Voodoo Ranger an FMB appeal without ever getting into FMBs.
FMB, yep.
It's
until now.
But I think that gives them,
entree.
Yeah, credence that they can do FMBs because they're kind of resonating with those same type of buyers, just reaching for something a little higher in alcohol that has a lot of flavor, single serve.
Right.
Which is pretty incredible that they hacked that.
Yeah.
And, go ahead, Jen.
Oh, well, just to that point, they're launching the hard charged tea, the Voodoo Ranger hard charged tea next year in 24-ounce singles. 24 ounce, forget the 19.2. Let's go straight to 24 ounce, 7% ABV, hard charged tea. So lots of obviously challengers to twisted tea in 24. It'll be interesting to watch. Every time you go to the grocery store, all you're going to see is tea.
Yeah. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They do have kind of an FMB like thing. And you made a comment in the last podcast, and I actually do watch the podcast after after it's been published. And you said something, that Gen Z just doesn't like bubbles. And I think you have something there. And when you think about it, the Zoomers, if you want to call them that, I like calling them Zoomers. I think that's okay if they are willing to be called that. That Zoomers, what was that thing that they would carry around in college? Is it a Borg?
Borg. Yeah.
Yeah. That didn't have any bubbles in it.
Or Darties.
Yeah. Just give us a clean, easy drinking, sweet or sour or both with alcohol in it. And I think that's what these newer brands, Frescas, what are they? No, refreshers.
Yeah.
Yeah, refreshers.
It's refreshers.
Yeah.
Is that the category? I mean, is that what we're calling them?
Yeah, and agua frescas kind of
Yeah.
is the same thing. It's
Right.
bubble-free juice kind of driven F&B.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, when Molson Coors came out with their Happy Thursday refresher, they said one of the big insights in launching that was listening on TikTok to consumers. And apparently a lot of Gen Z people take like milk frothers to sparkling water to get all the bubbles out, which sounds
like a lot. Yeah.
Sounds insane when there's bottled water and tap water.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are just going along like what a milk frother is. What the fuck is a milk frother?
To make your foam for cappuccino, Harry. Duh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Is that a machine?
Yeah. Or
it's like a little stick.
A handheld one. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently they don't like bubbles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't grow up with sodas.
White Claw 0-0.
I mean, I grew up drinking Pepsi. That's why I look this way. And they didn't grow up drinking sodas. They drink juice and milk and all that.
I do wonder. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I just can't. These Gen Zs are different. They're like when millennials came around, we all thought they were just outlandish little creatures, and it turns out they were like, hold my beer. These guys are way out there, and I love it. I love these kids.
I just think they have so much more optionality. They have so many more options than millennials did or Gen Z or anybody else. Like they're drinking everything. I think some don't like bubbles, right? And I think a lot of this stuff is modeled on Noka, the no carbonation brand that we've reported on a couple times that built their brand on TikTok. So I definitely think there's that cohort, but I don't think the entire generation doesn't like bubbles. Like I just think they like everything and they're taking advantage of everything. That was one thing too that I reported on. Like you've got some data sets from like IWSR and other data sets from Nielsen IQ that say completely different things about what Gen Z likes. Like one of them is like, oh, they don't drink low and no. And the other ones are like, actually, they have the lowest amount of abstainers of any generation, right? Like, so I don't think we really know. I don't think they really know yet. Like, even when I came of age drinking, there wasn't the cannabis that exists now. And even where it's not legal, there's zero stigma. There was stigma when I came of age, right? Like, they just have so many more options. It's hard to label them, I think. And they're going to try everything. So
I think you're making a great point. We kind of did this with millennials too, but even more so trying to figure out the whole point is that they're more diverse, right? Just more diverse crowd. So they're doing different things. I read one thing that was kind of, it's funny, but it's sad. It's because, they're like, they don't have the same job opportunities, but they have more disposable income because a lot of them are living at home rent free. So they actually have more cash than millennials had. So, which is kind of weird to think about. But like you said, it's a huge demographic, even in the United States and even regionally, it's huge. And oftentimes when we think of, at least when I think of like millennials, I kind of go and think of my sons or Gen Z rather. And that's not really a good cross section. I mean, they're 3 white dudes and that all went to college. So, I mean, that's not really representative of anybody, especially when you're looking at alcohol consumption. It's very different in different socioeconomics and different areas of the country. So, but I do stand on business on knowing all the newest lingo that goes on with Gen Z. And I report on it to you guys because I don't want y'all to look stupid. I wish I had told you standing on business, Jen, before you went to Dallas for the Next Gen conference.
Yes. You could have saved me some work. So.
Yeah. Was everybody pleased with your presentation?
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody's nice. Nobody's going to be like, that sucked.
People tell me that after mine that sucked.
Don't.
Yes, they
don't. Oh, well, I mean, Harry, you mean the year that the hotel caught on fire and you insulted people on stage? That one? Yeah, I mean.
No, it was actually a different one. It was the Bill Hackett fiasco. That one, I got several people coming up to me afterwards telling me it was terrible. But, I think the comment that the insult I get mostly after I speak is that it's kind of like it's supposed to be a compliment, but it's not. Wow, you're a much better writer than you are a speaker. And it's like, yeah, well, I have a face for radio and a voice for print.
Let's see how young you are, Harry.
Go for it.
I love this.
Do you know who Zach Bryan is?
Yes, Zach Bryan. He sings a song. He's a country western singer, and he used to play with Jimmy Buffett. That's Zach Brown.
Not Luke Bryan, not Zach Brown.
I know. That's so confusing.
Who's Zach Bryan?
He is a country singer. He is Bud Light's newest partner. So they're announcing that, I think, right
today. Now.
Mm-hmm. So they keep striking deals and, getting further into country. I think he's supposed to headline their Super Bowl concert. And he's pretty popular. He was gaining steam before this year and then had an album that he put out earlier this year that I think hit #1. So I like what they're doing with their marketing. I am a fan of Zach Bryan, but you think about that UFC. Mm-hmm. I mean, who could have predicted how big tying up Travis Kelce in the NFL would have been?
You mean
earlier
Kels?
This year? Yeah, it's Travis Kelce. So their marketing seems to be heading in the right direction.
One marketer from AB left the company this week, and she put on her LinkedIn that in lieu of the Dylan Mulvaney thing and everything that's happened, that AB is shifting their marketing toward more conventional type marketing, like these deals that we've seen. And what they're jettisoning, it appears, is they're being a showrunner or show. Remember, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of gotten buried, but I don't know if it was last year, but AB announced it was going to do like what Bud TV did back in the early 2000s with Tony Ponturo. Yeah. They were going to produce shows basically and be the executive producer on these shows and run them, but then have, Bud products prominently displayed in the shows and create content for streaming and TV and movies. And it looks like that's been put on hold, or at least it's been shuttered because the executive that was in charge of that has left. We had one reader.
Yeah.
Did y'all read that email?
Yes. He's like, how much more air are you going to give Gavin to his Miss America tour?
I got to pull this up. Here's an AB distributor that writes, Harry, are you not yet wary of listening to Gavin pontificate about how he has single-handedly brought MC to growth? I know I am, and so are your AB readers. Please tell Gavin for us, like as if I'm going to go tell Gavin. Please tell Gavin for us to get his head out of the sand and give Mulvaney and Alicia H. a Christmas bonus for making him look like King Kong of beer.
King Kong of beer.
The King Kong of beer.
Let's make him a
Where
shirt.
Does he get? Also tell him to send Fox News a check so they do not dig into MC's archives of woke moves that they've made over the years. Yeah. This is the kind, thank you to the reader, who you are. And I love getting notes like this because I love people with passion, get mad, get angry. This is what this business used to be. It used to be about anger. And everybody's just kind of floating through it. Where are the emotions, Jen?
Where's the flavor? Where's the
flavors? Can't we just have a salad or something? God, I want the spices back, and I think we're starting to get them. When you get an email like that, you're gonna get attention. I wrote him back. You know,
I have it. 20. So this is our predictions title for next year, 2024. Getting the spices back. Getting the spices back in beer.
I like that. And
we can rate it like each prediction with like jalapenos.
Yeah,
how spicy it is.
Yeah.
Peppers, in keeping with our South Texas tradition here.
Yeah.
But Jordan, you're going to New York next week for Binge's show. That'll be nice. I will be in Miami at a Jeffrey's thing, and then heading to Vegas. So I'll be gone. So we might just we might just do one from the road, real quick one next week, Jen.
That'd be cool. Let's do that. I see that bongo fizz in the back, Harry.
Oh shit!
So we'll have to do that next time.
Yeah, we'll do that next. Thank you to Yingling for sending, because we'd mentioned last week that we had never had bongo fizz, and look what showed up in the mail.
So
illegally, but we won't.
Don't tell NBWA.
No.
Your mail carrier is not your bartender.
No. All right, guys, take care.
All right, bye.
See ya.